welcome to the big Arsenal discussion. I'm your host Giles, and joining me today are regular panellist Robbie from Arsenal Fan TV. We've got Amanda from the goo.gl podcast. We've got Dan Jude formerly of FHM, and also blogger and novelist Dave Seeger. Right, welcome along everybody. Let's crack on. Arsenal's form. Let's start with Arsenal's form. The last couple of games have been, they've been Jekyll and Hyde, really, haven't they? I'll start with you, Amanda. How would you assess Arsenal's form? Which part is Jekyll and which part is Hyde for you?
Well, how far back should we go? Anderlecht, we've discussed, haven't we? Yeah. We had Swansea. Did
Let's
we discuss
start
that
with
one?
Man United.
Oh, Man United, first half, superb. Oh, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Didn't take our chances, and as you know, what my dad says, if you don't take your chances, you don't win games. Do you know they had one shot and scored 2 goals?
I know.
That's crazy. It. I mean, they took their chance, didn't they? And then we helped. They were so poor. You know what I'm gutted about is that the worst United side I've seen at the Emirates or Highbury, the worst United side, and we still couldn't beat them. Because what we did when they went 1-0 up is
Criminal.
Reprehensible. To panic and go gung-ho and leave one back, and that one being Monreal. But the first half was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Shame we didn't take it, the chances. I feel that was obviously a good sign, but we knew United weren't going to come out and be as bad as that second half. We all said the same thing. They're not going to be as bad as this, and they weren't. And unfortunately, at 1-0 down, we shouldn't have gone like lunatics.
Dave, how would you assess the form?
Well, I wouldn't argue with any of that. The first half, the first certainly 30 minutes was very, very enjoyable. I thought when we hadn't taken the chances, I did feel a certain degree of inevitability wash over me, and the people who sat around me felt the same because of the naivety we've shown in recent weeks. Exactly what Amanda said. We had plenty of time at 1-0. It was a breakaway goal. We weren't under any pressure. It was just a ridiculous sequence of circumstances. We found ourselves 1-0 down. I think we probably had a good 10 minutes plus injury time to retrieve something from the game, if not win it. And we just went, mad. It was crazy. There was no need for it. And maybe, that and Anderlecht and Swansea have finally taught us a lesson, because certainly we saw a very different Arsenal this week on Wednesday night.
We did. Dan, who would you say was to blame for the Man United performance? Would you say it's the players or the manager, or a bit of both?
You have to
just
blame.
Unlucky.
I mean, there's only so long you can bemoan your bad luck, really. We can talk about luck and injuries all we want, but the reality is there's a good enough squad, or there should be a good enough squad to go and win those games. I think it's very easy to blame the manager. It's easy to say, well, why don't we have defensive midfield cover? Why don't we have a better centre-back so we don't have to play Monreal? But, the reality is we should have won that game with those players, and I think they've got to take a bit of responsibility. I mean, I look at a couple of moments. Wilshere, one-on-one. Why he doesn't want to shoot with his weaker foot, I don't know. Completely bottled it. Welbeck, again, being quite Welbeck. And then I think, when at 1-0 down, absolute madness. I mean, what we were doing, leaving one defender back, it's completely crazy. There's no strategic nous in that team at the moment. And I think, whether that's the players not listening to Wenger, or whether it's the players not getting that direction to, take your time, you've got 20 minutes, I don't know, but I think they're both to blame.
Robbie, you've got a different assessment of why they went gung-ho with however long to go, haven't you?
Well, I'm saying that the last goal that was scored, when we look at it, was in the 85th minute. I'm not saying that we should have left one person back, but we should be going to try and win the game. There's only 5 minutes left. So they've got to attack. They've got to try and salvage something out of the game. How many times have we heard, commentary, and they've said, better we lose 2-0 than lose 1-0. So they had to go for it. But I do agree with what you're saying, is that the defending, even before that, there was an incident, I think, when Di Maria should really have scored.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where I couldn't understand at that point, when I was looking at my watch, I'm like, we don't have to. We're panicking here. Relax. And I think one of the big problems with the team has been a lack of leadership. There should be somebody out there in that situation against Manchester United grabbing hold of some of those players and saying, chill out, what's the matter with you? We still got time. They ain't all that. They've got a makeshift defence. We'll get it. We'll get this. We'll get a goal back. Just chill out. And I didn't see that. It's like we were just in a state of panic. I know confidence is low because we haven't performed well recently, and the whole Anderlecht thing, and letting leads slip against teams. And I think we played so brilliantly in that first half. The pressing, everything was so good that they kind of felt sorry for themselves when they went that goal down. It was a bad luck goal. The United hadn't done nothing to deserve that. But don't feel sorry for yourselves. That's where the leaders are required, and that's why I blame the players, because I think that's where the leaders on the pitch are required to turn around to the other players and say, "Listen, we're all right. They ain't done nothing to even deserve this. We're better than them. We'll score." And I think if you look at the Arsenal teams in the past, they would have got back in that game because of the leadership.
But where's their common sense leaving one back with Di Maria and Rooney? We're not playing a lesser team here. Two great players.
But that's the leadership, Amanda.
I agree with you. We need a captain. We haven't got leadership. We all agree on this, and a section will support.
But it's not even
we'll
captain.
Blame Wenger. We'll blame the players. Everyone's got to take collective responsibility. But they're not stupid. We're not playing a League One side here. Di Maria is one of the best players in the country. We've left one back. I still don't understand.
But you know what, Amanda? I've played in a lot of sport, and sometimes you require some sort of lead. You require leaders on the pitch to sometimes, because there are players that it's like they're feeling sorry for themselves. It shouldn't happen. They're professional.
Why don't we just name the name here? You know, you've got 500 top-flight games and 100 international caps for Germany. You're a World Cup winner.
I was just about to say that.
Let's just name the name. This is the guy who should be holding the defence together. He's not. He's not only not performing, he's not talking anymore. Even on Wednesday night, which I loved, he was the weak link out of the four defenders. He's just not performing. So
I don't just... Yes, Per Mertesacker is one of those players at fault, because he was talking out before the game saying how we need to be...
after the game.
Yeah.
As well.
But not just him. I think there's players on that pitch of experience. And I'll talk about leadership across the team. There's experienced players in that team that should be getting hold of some of the other players and saying, well, just relax.
But Robbie, what Dave's saying's right. He is the main man in defence, and he is played how many caps he's got for Germany. He should be the man doing it. He's not up the field.
But where was everybody else as well?
As should Arteta as well.
Yeah, but no, but he's in defence.
But they're behind Arteta.
Yes.
If you're Mertesacker and you see your fullbacks, it's for you
get
to
them
say,
back.
"Hey, Kieran, no, Callum's gone, you stay."
Yes.
Who else can do that? He can see it. Arteta's got his back to it.
In some defence of Mertesacker, I think we have to say that, you know, playing paired with Nacho Monreal is a difficult job for anyone. I mean, Monreal...
A difficult job for Monreal, not for Mertesacker. Monreal's completely outperforming Mertesacker. Let's be honest. Why does everyone have to protect him?
Actually,
Monreal was our best
there.
defender on Wednesday night.
He was great on Wednesday night. I don't think he was
night.
brilliant against United, and he certainly wasn't great in the few games before that. In Swansea, he was terrible.
I don't know Mertesacker. So.
I think that the problem is that Mertesacker plays very well with Koscielny, because they're very different defenders. And when you put someone like Mertesacker with someone like Monreal, who's clearly out of his depth, and then I think Chambers, obviously he's going to be a great defender, but I think we can probably all accept he's not a world-class right-back at the moment. Whether he will end up as right-back, I'm not sure. I don't think he will. And I think it's a lot of responsibility being placed on Mertesacker's shoulders at the moment.
Okay.
And he's not performing well.
Moving on to Wednesday, then we saw a different Arsenal, a very different Arsenal against the would-be, Bayern Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund, and Jurgen
Bayern's who we
Klopp.
got next.
Jurgen Klopp and so on and so forth and whatnot. I mean, it was a very... What do you put that performance down to? I mean, all along these last few weeks, the players have been out on social media, the manager's been out in the press saying, we work on these things. It was defensive naivete. Wednesday night, it seemed to be a completely different performance against a better team. All right, some people will say that Dortmund had nothing to play for, but if you listen to Jurgen Klopp after the game, he wasn't happy.
No.
He wasn't happy.
But
go on.
Sorry, but I was just going to say it could be the fact that we deserve something Saturday, apart from what we did with the defending. And I think if the media is correct, and he locked them in the changing rooms and literally lost it. Not that I've ever heard Wenger lose it, whether he did or didn't. I think they came out. It was how they should have played.
They've learned.
And maybe it's not too late to salvage something, because we are only November, early December.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the league, Dave. I'm not talking about the league. I'm not unrealistic. I'm just saying that we probably will get top four, which I don't normally say, because the rest of the league are atrocious. I mean, if you look seriously at the rest of the league, I don't know how we're not something like 12th or something, but we're not. and it's still salvageable. And it's not March; it is the first week in December next week, and coming off the win from Dortmund is only going to give us confidence. And confidence that we can defend a lead, which is important, and scored two good goals.
I think also, I bang on about it a lot, I write about it, but I have this huge problem with the way we utilise our fullbacks, and people tell me it's the modern game, fullbacks have to press forward. But what was so patently obvious on Wednesday night now, whether it's Wenger, well, you've got me saying Wenger now, Wenger, whether it's Bold, I don't know. Doesn't really matter, but the point is it was so obvious that every time one fullback went forward the other one didn't, and for me that's exactly how a good team defends. You do not have two fullbacks forward at the same time, unless you really need to. And it was almost, as I describe it, as the marionette thing, the puppet. You pull one arm up, the other one went down, and it just happened, and it was like clockwork. And the point I'm going to go on to make is, don't do it because it's Dortmund. Do it every single game. This is just basic principles of good defending. We've got enough attacking flair, enough talent to score once we get rolling, to do it without fullbacks supporting. Sanya and Clichy last year, 1 assist between them the whole season. It's not about that. It's about having 3 defenders when it breaks down. We've seen it enough. Sanya Gibbs.
Great stuff.
Well, I could have said the same. I could have just said 3 years ago. To be honest.
Let's wrap this one up. Give us your thoughts on YouTube. Do you think that Wenger's got it right, the team's got it right finally? Can we go forward with some sort of game plan? Leave your comments in the box below. Thank you very much.
We're here at Arsenal, the greatest football club in the world, and Arsenal Fan TV have teamed up with FOOTBALLFANAGER to give you this. You can win yourself this signed Arsenal shirt